Yes, how you doing? This is James Gouch. This is to my amputee brothers and sisters out there in the Facebook and YouTube world. I just want to, one thing that I've been thinking about lately that I've been wanting to do for a few weeks now, ever since I got with my good buddies up in Michigan. I want to talk from where I'm at today. A lot of people like to talk about where they've been, what happened, where they're at now. I like to tell you what changed my life forever. I met a guy about 6 or 7 years ago when I had just found out what amputee support groups was all about. I met a guy who was a double amputee. He asked me to go to the prison with him while he did a support meeting. But as we drove back from the meeting, he asked me, have I ever heard of a book called You're Not Alone? We were sitting in this car, and I kind of read through. You had to go in, and what I did was I kind of skimmed through the book to find something that I could relate to. And I just like to just share for a moment the turning point in my life, which happened, I think, between 6 and 8 years ago. That came out of this book that's called You're Not Alone. One of the guys in this story, he didn't name his name, but he's a guy, he's 51 years old, and the title of his story in the book was called 12 Steps to Acceptance. It's a book that changed my life forever. I just want to talk about stuff that happened in this book that changed my life forever. One part in the book, it talks about being disabled. He writes, learning to walk with a prosthetic was nothing compared to learning to accept the amputation that I just couldn't do. I combined what I first thought was a physical pain with drugs and alcohol. Only later did I understand what I was feeling was emotional pain. The pain came from many sources. I let the feeling of other people dominate me. The only reinforcement thought was buried within inside of me that was something that I couldn't understand. I could have adapted the physical challenge of the amputation, but the emotional drama I couldn't let go. When I read up to this point in this book, I kind of understood what my man was talking about, because up to this point I had been an amputee for up to 20 years, and I had never heard someone talk about the emotional side of having, become a person with a disability or losing a limb. The emotional side, the spiritual side. I always looked at the physical side. I always tried to cover up, how I looked by dressing it up, but I just couldn't get rid of that emotional pain. Then, he talks in this book. He said, I just wanted someone to say, hey, you're okay. I made the decision to quit drinking. That was the beginning of acceptance. All the pain was in my head. It was emotional pain, not physical pain, that was killing me. I carried that injury for 12 years, and it hurt like hell all the time. But when I gave up and asked God for help, I finally quit hurting. I had to accept that this was the way it was. I was an amputee, and that was not going to change. At this point, when he was talking about 12 years was when I went into, that was around the same time that I was dealing with some things, and I decided to turn my life and will, over to God as I understood it. And it was a turning point in my life. Then he goes on to say, for the first time through a support group of other patients at the treatment center, I was able to talk about me, my fears and anxiety. Being able to talk about it made the difference. Many of my self-doubt and fears ceased being problems. But it's really important for amputees to have the opportunity to share with others what they are going through, what they can and cannot do. And that's what amputee support groups did for me. When I met this guy that took me to this prison, it was the first time that I was around other amputees. I was around, I think it was like 15 to 20 guys, and I felt at home. I felt comfortable. I seen a guy who through diabetes who had lost his leg and his arm. I seen a double amputee. And I seen guys who was living life to the full. Mostly, yes, they was handling it, having, prosthetic leg, walking around. But I seen some guys that was really dealing with certain situations that I couldn't deal with, because I wasn't around other amputees. Then, it goes on and it says, now I'm able to accept that amputation doesn't mean I'm a cripple. It doesn't mean I'm disabled. I'm only limited to some areas, and I discovered that sometimes I am limited only what I think I can't do. Then he goes on, I adapted the things I do to the point that I don't think much about being an amputee anymore. I found that I need to be me, not what other people want me to be. I can't worry about their expectation. I've grown comfortable with who I am. I accepted me. And at this point, when I read this point, I can remember the point when I came in my life, when I looked in the mirror and I said, well, this is the way I'm going to be. My leg was gone, my eye was gone. I looked around and, I got up one morning, my wife was laying in bed, my 4 little boys, was laying in bed, and then I truly accepted who I was. I had been going to amputee support groups for about a year, and I had been around other guys who were dealing with emotional pain, the spiritual side of losing a limb, and from that point, I could look myself in the mirror and I could smile, and I really liked the guy in the mirror, and so the more, that I gave back to the amputees, the better I felt. Then he goes on, he says, as part of all I've been through, I found that I can do most anything if I try. I just didn't try for 12 years. Drugs and alcohol made it easier to hide behind and easier to accept what others thought of me. Even now, everything isn't perfect. I work towards my goals, and I know I'm going to have problems. But if I can accept me today, then I can take care of tomorrow. And that's one of the reasons, I just wanted to share on what was the turning point, in my life for reading this book. And, when I was sitting around with my fellas, in Michigan, and we was kind of playing around with amputees are awesome. I went back to where I said in Atlanta, and I came up with the logo. When I seen amputees are awesome, here you go, I was ready to go out, and I was ready to go to all these support groups and tell other amputees that they was awesome. But the first awesome amputee is me. When I looked in the mirror, and I put the shirt on, I wear it proudly. I wear it every day. And when I look in the mirror, I get happy. It was a time that my happiness was contingent on other things. It was acceptance and approval for everybody. But now I can look in the mirror and I can smile at who James Gouch is. So if by me accepting who I am can motivate and inspire somebody else to put on a shirt that says amputees are awesome and come into their realness, then all the stuff that I've been through, hit by a car, losing my leg, being divorced, and all of these things I've been through, it will be worth it if someone can see that me loving who I am, amputees are awesome. If wearing the t-shirt can inspire another person that lost his leg, then everything I've been through was worth it. But I just had to give a shout out, and I just want to tell any amputee that's out there that's listening to this recording is just remember, look in the mirror tonight. Look in the mirror right now. If you're able, if you're in the hospital, ask one of the nurses, the doctor, to bring you a mirror and look in the mirror and say to yourself, amputees are awesome. To the next time.